Yeah. Did you miss me?
Yeah.
You didn't miss me. That was as sincere as you can make it, but it's okay.
I didn't miss you because you got well-deserved time off with your family, and that's important.
I appreciate it. Well, you always look out for me, or try to, and I always be like, no, I'll be in. It's fine. We'll just make it work. So, you know me.
Well, the main reason that I like it when you come to work is because I have more fun, because it is kind of lonely over there. Nobody ever talks to me. Over in our corner, our sports corner.
See, I think opposite. I'm like, oh wow, I can go the entire day until I go on TV without talking.
Oh no, I like it, and I like because we can crouch below our computers and laugh and be like,
true. Is that always like? It's like watching Snoopy and then
exactly, and nobody knows what we're saying. But yeah, welcome back.
Thank you, appreciate it. You know, it's always a pleasure to come on back, and it seems like you're always like even more energetic. So that's always. Well, whenever I come back. Actually, thanks. You know what? 24/7. So you bring the energy. That's what I tell people. Brooke brings the energy. I just show up. So I'm just here, a little stick in the sand.
Pump the jams. Pump it up.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you need to. But I don't think we need to.
Yeah, no, I'm actually dragging because we just got done with our 3-day trip to the big city of Charlotte.
The Queen City.
The Queen City. It was so fun.
It was good.
And now it's all happening fast.
Yeah, it is. This is always that point. When we get to ACC kickoff, we're like, all right, our lives are over until December.
Truly. Well, this is the point. Like when we were going through the calendar in the car, I'm like, okay, this Friday, I got to do it big. Next Saturday, I got to do it big.
Yep.
Then the following Friday, birthday weekend, got to do it big. Like I'm counting the weekends I have left of like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, and civilization and everything.
Right, like going to have a beer on a Friday night, because that just doesn't really... before midnight, because that doesn't happen on Friday night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all happening fast.
Yep, it's here, but you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna rock it out, and we're planning it, you know? That's the best part of being prepared, is planning it.
Facts.
And scheduling it.
Big facts.
So,
but first, the good thing too is we have this Olympic chunk.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of exciting too.
It is exciting because like I feel like we can't even really hit all of our like football stuff hard until the Olympics are over.
Very true.
Because it's just gonna like, honestly, who cares? Like the Olympics are on, so that's nice that we still have like built-in storylines every day for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. And it's like good storylines. It's not just, Olympics again. We don't know this person. Like hearing Mike Tirico talk about like all the star power that there is, like for Team USA at the least, we're in for a good treat.
No, it's gonna be so fun. I'm actually excited. Opening ceremonies on Saturday, or
Friday.
Is it Friday?
Friday, yeah.
Oh, but Saturday is the first Ozone show.
Yeah, the Olympic zone.
Yeah, no.
Get in the zone with Brooke Leonard. Don't say.
Did you share my shoe? That was my shoe.
You said it was.
Get in the zone.
Brooke
Ozone.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
oops.
yeah.
I was going for the real deal.
Whatever.
We won't get that sponsorship, I guess.
Whoops.
We're messing up all of them.
I know. It's okay.
One day.
But yeah, speaking of Olympians, we have a lot of local Olympians who are going to be representing all countries, not just Team USA.
Yeah. Spain. I believe we got Team Hong Kong. There's a former Virginia Tech swimmer. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Canada, of course, with some basketball players. Yeah. Nikhil Alexander Walker. Former Hokie. So I'm excited. It's kind of like off-putting sometimes. You look at these teams, you're like, wait, how's that person over there? Or like when we saw Carlik Jones for South Sudan, I was like, wow, all right, cool. He's balling out though. Like, cool. So now it's exciting. But of course, we got the local that we had a chance to talk to, Bridget Williams.
Yeah, that was actually a great find, and I shouted him out in the interview. Cullen, our former AE, had a connection. I think one of his clients maybe mentioned it to him about the trials.
Right.
So that night, I remember I turned on the trial, and the trials have been running all week. So I was like, oh my gosh, well, it was the finals night. I was like, hopefully she made it, or at least her jump is aired. Yeah. Like that was the biggest thing with the trials, is not, they weren't airing everything.
Right.
So I go to the feed, I run through it, I see some pole vaulting, so I roll it back, and they were talking about her winning the pole vault.
Yeah, that's the best part.
And I was like,
that's the best part.
Let's freaking go. This is awesome. So, A, that was a win for the show.
Yep.
B, then they had sound with her, like right after the event. So that was awesome. And then we got in touch. Colin put us in touch with her agent, and we were able to get Bridget on.
Made it work. And like she said, it was great patience shown by everybody involved because she got a million things going on. We had like vacations and off days and all of this stuff. So
it was literally like insane trying to get it to happen, but we did, and
it was a great time, great conversation too. You're gonna love it. Y'all will listen to it in just a second.
She's awesome. You're gonna fall in love with her journey and her story, and she was so nice, so nice, and shared a lot of insight on just pole vault, the sport, and her hopes for the Olympics. The biggest part, and you'll hear it, but like just being mentally fit for that, like, oh man, I can't imagine. I would be freaking out, like. I was almost like scared. I didn't want her to talk about it because I'm like, oh, what if that plays on? Yeah, I'm that guy. Like, oh, if I hadn't talked to that Channel 10 people, I wouldn't have had that psyche. Like, I'm that guy. But like, well, I'm sure she won't be. She'll be great. But the conversation was at the least great too. So. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. This is Bridget Williams, an Olympian heading to the 2024 Paris Olympics for pole vault. Welcome back to Foul Check. We have a very special guest today.
Super special.
We secured probably our biggest interview yet with an Olympian.
Sure.
We have Bridget Williams here, who is a pole vaulter heading to Paris for the Olympics, a UVA alum, now training in Blacksburg, so an NRV native, we can say now. Bridget, thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, we are so excited.
No, we appreciate your time. Like you said, you got Paris right ahead of you. So to get us into your schedule, this is awesome.
No,
so
this is fun for me too, so I'm really grateful.
Well, we have to start with shouting out our friend Colin, who we work with. I guess he knows your agent. I don't know. He sent us your name and said she is in the trials. Heads up. Okay, cool, great. I mean, we were following the UVA, Virginia Tech people anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then now you're going to Paris. You won the trials, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so first place, they take top 3 for pole vault. Yep. Just incredible. So thank you, Colin, for
shout out to Colin
putting us in touch with you. And just amazing to see. We're going to touch on that first. The trials leading up to it. I guess what your career's kind of looked like up until a few weeks ago, and being able to slip into finals and then ultimately win.
That's a good word. Yeah, into the final. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I think, my career going, into this year has been kind of a slow burn is what I tell people. I was not an NCAA champion. I was only a one-time state champion in high school. And so, it wasn't like I was jumping these leaps and bounds right from the bat. It took several years to get me to where I am now. And like you said, I did slip into the final. I mean, I think, in previous conversations I've said the Olympic trials is one of the most stressful competitions you will ever probably compete in, just because it all comes down to one day. And so I think knowing that I had the best opportunity that I've had ever to make this team, I went in with a lot of extra stress on myself, and I think that showed in how I competed in the prelim. I didn't compete with joy, or I was just very rigid and just tight, I guess, and that showed. And you can't do that in the vault. You have to go in there confident and in trusting your training and trusting the corrections that you're making. And so I learned from that, and I think what's the best thing that came out of this experience was that, I showed the world that I can bounce back, right? Like each competition that you have in the vault is separate, and you can only learn from the ones that come before, and then you just do your best on the next one. And I think I showed people that the American girls can bounce back, and that's exactly what I did. So yeah, it's been really fun.
I mean, it was incredible. I think you were off that weekend, but
right.
obviously we worked together, so he saw it. But I remember that night when I went, and because we just it was all running on our channel, so we were rolling on the video, and I when the way they broadcast it, it's not the full meet. They're just showing the highlights. Yeah. And I was like, oh, please, I hope there's at least a video of her. And then it was the video of you winning. And I was like, oh my gosh, you won. Let's go.
Yeah, and that was just icing on the cake. I mean, if you listen to the commentators, like, and he's not wrong. I mean, I've had a checkered career when it comes to outdoor national championships. Like I'll have a great season, but I don't always show up when it really matters, when it comes time to make a big team or a world team or the Olympic team or whatever. And so I think that was just added pressure. So to come out with the win on top, I think turned a lot of heads just, like, okay, maybe this is my time.
It was incredible. And then listening to your interview afterwards, I mean, that was just so inspiring. And kind of like you said, you guys are tough and you guys can gut it out and get it done. And
yeah, you have to. I mean, or you'll get left.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, for those who don't know track and field, the pole vault is, you have a big, how long is the pole? 15 feet?
Yeah. I mean, it's different for every girl. So it just depends on what your preference is or your ability. And so my poles are 460 in length. So they're about 15 feet long, 15.1 maybe is the conversion. So it just depends on each girl. But yeah, the sticks that I was using were 15 feet long.
So you run with this stick, weapon, ultimately.
I mean, it's not just any old stick.
Right, it's not like a high jump bar. This is a pole vault. And you stab it, and then you are vaulting yourself over another 15 or 16 feet, correct?
Sure,
Is that about how high?
Yeah, not 16 quite yet. I mean, that's a goal. That would be a really big
goal.
Olympic
goal, yeah.
But, I jumped, what's the conversion? I'm not even sure. 15.6 and something, I think is 73.
I think that sounds right. The metrics was messing me up trying to call these highlights.
The inches messed me up. I don't know it. Funny story in high school. So you'll see a lot of people competing in high school, and it'll be marks. Like you jump 12 feet, then you jump 12.6, then 13 feet, whatever.
Right.
And then you get to college, and it's all in the metric system. And I remember the first time I jumped I think it was 401 here at this track, and it was at the ACC meet as a freshman, and I remember my teammate being like, that was 13 feet, you got to be excited about that. And I'm like, what is 401? I don't even know what 401 is, and then I was like, oh, 13 feet, okay, like that's a great, that was like a big milestone at the time, but so funny. Yeah, and now it's the opposite, going back to feet and inches. My parents are always like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know.
It's like, no, just get to it. It's like a baby,
just know that 73 is a decent mark.
Right. That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like looking at the sheet with all the measurements on it. I'm like, I guess that's good. I mean, she won it, so there we go.
No. My mom has this like printout sheet from, I don't know, probably like 2 meters the whole way up to like 5 meters or something. So she knows like every single
she got
mark.
The cheat sheet.
Let me get my sheet. Check it out.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So tell us a little bit about the mentality, because, well, for one, can you be scared of heights? Because I feel like for me, I wouldn't even be able to try because I don't do heights. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But when you're first learning this sport, does that go through your mind? Like,
well, I think it's important to remember too, when you first start the sport, you're not jumping near as high, right? You're jumping just a few feet off the pit, right? Or you're just like, you're not even bending the pole necessarily. You're just grabbing onto the pole and lifting your legs over this really small, short bar.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of like grow into the height, if you will. But people always ask me, are you afraid of heights? I'm not necessarily afraid of heights. I don't love heights necessarily. But I will say if there is one part of the vault that is scary, it's leaving the ground. Getting yourself to plant this pole in the box, which is where the pole goes. It's like a small slanted hole in the ground, basically. It's made out of metal. But anyways, so you're that part, I think for me, especially when you're not feeling as good, or maybe you come in a little sore, or the conditions aren't as good, or it's rainy, or whatever, when the conditions aren't necessarily on your side, or your body's not necessarily on your side, that can be the most daunting part, is running down that runway as fast as you can, and then shoving this pole in the ground and hoping that it gets you, over the bar.
Yeah. I mean, because breaking it down like that, it sounds like it's darn near impossible. Like it's just like
it's definitely unnatural, you know. And I think too, like you just can't think about it. You focus on what you can control, and then you just know that the rest is just part of the sport. You know, things will happen, sure, and some of them won't be in your favor, but most of the time it works out just fine.
It's the scariest part whenever I watch this event is when you fall on the mat. I mean, you're dropping 73 inches. Is that how many? 15 feet? Whatever the metric conversion we were just doing, but
4.73 meters. Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge fall, and then I'm like, what if the pole lands on you? Which is probably the least of your worries.
Yeah. So you just swat it out of the way.
Right. Is that as daunting as it seems? You know, you get up there, you clear the mark, and then you just are free falling.
Yeah. No, I think that part is just like so fast. If you know, it's so fast. So that part is just, I don't know, almost like a blur. Like you don't even remember before you know you're back on the pit. Especially if you hit a good jump, you know, like coming over as soon as you leave the ground, most vaulters will tell you like, okay, I've either hit a really good jump or that wasn't the best jump or whatever. But especially if you know coming off the ground you've hit a good jump, clearing the bar and then landing on the mat, that's the easiest part. You know, that's just the ride. You know, you set it all up from the takeoff, from your run into the takeoff, and then the rest is just kind of history. So I was telling somebody else, you know, when you look at the vault, especially when you're thinking, you know, for anybody that doesn't know, you have 60 seconds to complete your jump. So the official will hold a white flag on the runway and let you know that it's your turn. And then you have 60 seconds from that point to successfully or not successfully, whatever, take your attempt. And so, you know, if the conditions aren't great, you might have a headwind or a crosswind that day or whatever, you can pick your moment on the clock. You know, you don't have to go right at 60. You can go at 30 or whatever, you know, as long as it's before. I think they give you a warning at 15 seconds. But as long as you start your approach before the clock runs out, then you're good. But I don't know, I lost my train of thought. What did you ask me?
Well, I was just curious, the distance you're running up to before you
I know what I was going to say. Yeah. So, like all these processes. What I was going to say is that, so from the moment you start your approach to the time you land on the mat, it's only 8 seconds, 8 or 9 seconds. So it doesn't take you that long necessarily to complete a full jump. And I remember not long ago in my career, like kind of recalling that and thinking, oh gosh, like it only takes, you know, 10 seconds, say, you know, to complete my jump. Like I have 60 seconds. I have plenty of time. I don't need to rush. You know, you'll see maybe in the heat of the moment, or I don't know, under high stress, you'll see girls get on the runway and go right away. Or if they're back to back, you know, if you're taking back to back attempts, say you're the only one in the competition or whatever, you have your time on the runway will increase up to 5 minutes if you're the only jumper left. And so it's important to ride that clock out. But
breathe.
Yeah, and
get
take
right,
your time.
Yeah.
But I guess my whole point, that's a long way of saying the jump itself takes it's so quick. It doesn't take hardly any time at all.
Well, it's like anything we do.
Yeah.
I teach cycling, and I said this morning, I say it every class, I'm like, the hardest part really is just getting in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of it is going to fly by.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like it's kind of the same. The mental part of the, say, first 45 seconds of that 60 is way worse than the actual jump itself. And once you get through that, then the rest is fine.
Yeah, it's the anticipation. I mean, practice can be that same way, right? I mean, I don't live exactly in Blacksburg, and so sometimes I'm like, gosh, just get in the car. Just get in the car, you know?
That's all it takes.
Someone will be there, coach will be here, or, you know, like my other teammates that I train alongside will be here, and then once you get there, you'll be fine.
Yes.
You know, you just got to get yourself in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that way sometimes, too.
So true. Well, it's good to hear an Olympian say that, because this morning I woke up and I was like, I do not want to go, but then once you get there,
it's good.
Smooth sailing.
Is there a set distance in the run up for every athlete, or does it vary athlete to athlete?
It varies athlete to athlete. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, in the vault, I guess if you pay really close attention, you might see some vaulters like mouthing words or numbers to themselves, counting almost. I count up. So in the vault, you count every time your left foot hits the ground, if that makes sense. So in Europe, you'll hear girls say, okay, I'm taking 16 strides, or 16 steps, which really means 8 lefts, right? In the US, you'll hear girls saying, okay, I'm going 8 lefts, I'm going 8 lefts. And that's my full approach run, but it's different for everyone. Some girls prefer 7 lefts, some girls prefer even shorter or whatever. And in practice, we'll do different runs just to practice different things. Shorter the run, the easier it is to make technical change. You take out the element of like getting on a big pole or whatever, and same goes for your pole. You don't have to use, like I don't use 15-foot poles always at practice. Sometimes I'll use 14.6 poles, or sometimes I use 14-foot poles. It depends which run I'm coming from and what the objective is for that day. But so it just depends on what run you're coming from. And like I said, it's different for every girl. Some girls really like to compete from 7 lefts. But ultimately, it comes down when you're picking a starting mark or trying to determine a run. Our rule of thumb is you want to compete the run that you're the fastest at. So if you're faster from 7 lefts than you are from 8 lefts, great. Compete 7 lefts, because the faster you are on the runway, as long as you can control your speed, you will jump higher. That's just basic physics, I think.
Yeah.
The more velocity you bring down the runway, then the higher technically you should jump. But it's sometimes a hard thing to measure. The longer you run, even if you're the faster, sometimes you get more tired. So if you're coming from a shorter distance, you might be able to have more stamina. So it's just you got to play your game. Figure out what your strategy is.
That's a lot going on. Like you literally just broke down physically. You gotta be. I'm like, wow, physically, mentally, and then you got to do math.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and we're not even we're just to the halfway point. My question was going to be: so you plant the stick, and you're using all your force to now launch, slingshot yourself essentially over the mark. Hand placement, upper body strength, like where are we coming from to get yourself over that bar?
Yeah, I think a lot goes into it. I think the easiest way that I can describe it for people who don't know the vault is if you ever seen a gymnast do a giant on the high bar. So basically you'll see a gymnast be in a handstand on the high bar and then they swing around the whole way and they're in a handstand again. That is probably the most similar motion to the vault, only instead of our we're connected not to a stationary high bar. Our pole is bending, right? And we are the ones bending it, I guess. But once you get through your takeoff and you're making this connection, which is when you're like grab it when you're here in the jump, when you're bringing your hands to your feet. It's hard to explain without demonstrating it.
For sure.
But once you make that connection, is what we call it. Then it's like a violent power clean. You're just like ripping the pole up your pant line, basically. You'll hear, just like doing a kip on a high bar, you'll hear gymnastics coaches say, okay, like pull up your pants. And it's not literally, but it's just like drag your hands up your leg line. But it's just super violent. And then that keeps you one with the pole as you go up. So, but again, you don't have any energy if you don't run fast. So you got to first run fast.
Well, exactly. Yeah,
and
you
jump
have
up
to have
into
the
that
launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane. Of all the events, so you were saying you ran track in high school, and then you went to UVA. Were you pole vaulting in high school? It's not super common in this area, but you're not from around here.
Yeah, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, and it's technically a middle school sport. I started to learn when I was in the 7th grade. I was not very good. Believe me, I was not very good. But there were girls that were older than me that were also gymnasts and were having success in the vault. And I just kind of followed in their footsteps, and it was recommended by some coaches early on that, okay, you're strong, you're fast, you know how to move your body in space because of gymnastics, so why don't you give this a try?
Okay, so you had a gymnastics background.
Yeah, I did gymnastics.
I was wondering how you knew so much about the bars.
Yeah,
okay.
So I did gymnastics probably since I was 4 years old until I believe my last year in gymnastics was 9th grade, I think. I was a freshman in high school. I wasn't never a pretty gymnast, but I think I have it to credit for my strength, my body awareness, just hard work.
Yeah.
It's a gritty sport. Arguably harder than pole vault. It's just I would be more fearful to flip around, than get on a pole and jump. Right. So, anyways, but it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot. It develops you young. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then, so I started in 7th grade, and then just kept on. But around here, it's hard to find a good club. It's, and clubs, I went to one club, that was 2.5 hours away growing up, in Western Pennsylvania. And that was a new and upcoming thing, and now pole vault clubs are popping up all over the country. And I think that's why you see so much success much earlier in the vault, men and women. because you have these clubs that are specializing, and these kids are getting to learn at a much younger age. But so I dabbled in that a little bit, but I basically was pretty raw my whole career until I got to college. So
that's wild.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Some people, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think important. Some people are like, oh, you should specialize early. That would be so much better for the child if they specialize early. And I don't really agree with that. I think just speaking from my own perspective and experience, like I think the more diversified you are as a child, like go run barefoot. Climb a tree, or run down the pavement with your bare feet. I don't know, just be a child and dabble in different events and different sports. Play soccer, play basketball. I think that makes you a better athlete in the long run.
For sure.
You see a lot of kids, I think, specializing so early, and then by the time when it matters, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
100%.
Yeah, and it's 100%. So serious, and you should be serious and you should do your sport well. I'm not saying that, but I just don't think, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of like specializing early.
And it's all supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, it's sports.
Yeah.
It's not brain surgery. Like it's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah. And you get so much more, I think, out of sport than just performance. You make friends, you have experiences, you challenge yourself, you learn your limits, you learn, how to get out of your comfort zone. And I think those are all lessons you can carry on with your, in life. So
we talked to a swimmer who is from Roanoke, Olivia Bray. She swam in the Olympic trials, and she's been swimming her whole life. Her first Olympic trial, she was 14.
Oh, wow.
So she's been doing it a long time, and this was probably her last one. She's graduating from Texas. Maybe not her last Olympic trials, but maybe. But she said there's so many more wins I can get from this than just going to the Olympics.
Sure, yeah.
And that's the same in all sports, like you just said. Like more than performance, you make friends, you socialize, you learn how to communicate, relationships. And I thought that was so mature of her to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
As a college senior, and just recognize it is a great accomplishment, but in sports, there's so many other things you can
for sure. For sure. Some of my my best friends have come from the sport. My husband and I am coach, for that matter. I have traveled the world. Like, we would have never gone some of the places that we've gone to. And it's because of track and field. So you got to dig deep. And I think too, I tell all the girls that train underneath me, here, that are still in college and look up to me, and I always tell them, like, find a reason bigger than winning to do it, because it will suck you drier than you could ever imagine. If you just love to win, like, I love to win too. Who doesn't love to win? But you got to find a reason to do it beyond that, because you won't always win.
Yeah, that's
and that's just the reality. You might get hurt, or you might change your mind, and plans change, or whatever. And I think sports is a really good avenue for a lot of life lessons, and a lot of like you said, just other things you can learn about yourself and others. But you got to do it more than. Got to do it for more than just winning. Yeah,
100%.
I agree. Yeah. I was thinking more with the preps leading up to, like, when you're actually vaulting. Can you use anything on your hands in terms of, like, making sure you can get a grip on
Sure.
the pole?
Yeah, you'll see girls use, like, sticky spray.
Really?
Yeah, they'll spray their hands with sticky spray. I use chalk personally.
Wow.
I've heard before, once you go sticky, you never go back. And so, chalk is chalk, and you can travel with it. It's not an aerosol can. It's pretty easy. Most places have chalk. If not, you just bring your own.
Yeah.
I guess you could do that with sticky spray too, but I just prefer chalk. I've always done chalk. I've never used a sticky spray. So
whoa, I would have
Yeah.
never thought that, because you think of, like, baseball, they're like, no sticky spray, nothing on your hands.
Yeah, checking the pitcher's glove after every inning. And
Interesting.
You'll see, if you watch the Olympics, you'll have to watch for some girls, because the girls that use sticky spray, sometimes they'll use black tape, and their hands come off like black.
Wow.
Like they'll be because it's sticky.
sticky.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like dyes their hands.
And you'll have tape at where you're planting your hands as well.
Sure.
On the bar.
You can tape your pole.
Pole,
some people don't.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, some people will leave the bottom hand just bare pole. I would never do that. But
no, I feel like you have to have grip no matter what. Oh my gosh.
I always try to challenge myself. This year I have been trying to get out of my comfort zone, just trying to not be bothered by certain things, or elements, just to make myself a little harder. And sometimes we'll play around with grip or use poles from different runs, and the bottom hand, like my bottom 2 fingers might not have tape on them. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know? It really doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Most of my hand is on the tape. And every time I'm like, oh, it matters. Like, I really want to stop and just, retape my pole or just add tape to the bottom. And I do it. And my coach is like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. One day I want to not care, but I still care.
You're used to it. Yeah. And you know what? It's when you've had success doing what you've been doing. Yeah. It's like, I'm not going back.
It's such a mind game. It's such a mind game.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
Right.
It's such a mind game. It shouldn't matter, but it does sometimes.
Yeah. Well, obviously it got you where you are. So first place in the trials. Now you're do you have any more mechanics questions?
No.
Okay. Because now I want to hear all about Paris.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that moment was incredible, as we talked about. Has reality sunk in that you were on Team USA and you were going to represent in Paris?
Yeah, I think some days it does, and other days I'm like, oh gosh, like you have the Olympics coming up, like it's one of those meets.
The Olympics coming up.
It's one of those meets, just full transparency. It's one of those meets you put on your calendar at the beginning of the year, when you're sitting down, or I guess even like in the fall of last year, when you're starting to plan and plot meets and look at training blocks and lift cycles and whatever. And it's one of those meets you put on the calendar because that's your goal, right? That's the main goal in an Olympic year, or even in the 3 years following or prior, leading up to this year. The focus comes down to the Olympic trials and then how you plan to perform in Paris. But you don't really know if you're going to make it until you have it, until you do the thing. And so, some days I forget, and other days I catch myself just like random. This is embarrassing, but like I find myself just like choking up in the car, like just like, I was watching, the Simone Biles documentary on Netflix and just listening to her story, and then I'm like sitting there crying, and I'm like, holy crap, like I can so resonate with this, and like I'm going to do this. Yes. Like she's talking about her experience at the Olympics and whatever, and I think sometimes it just like catches you in weird waves where it's like you did it, like you made it, you did the first part, right? You made the team, and now you have this huge opportunity to show the world and your country and represent your country in a way that I probably would never have this opportunity otherwise, so it's really special, and it's been a lot of hard work, work.
Goodness, I can only imagine.
Yeah, you told us something before we sat down about how, or maybe it was during the interview, you didn't win any NCAAs in college. It seems the peaking is really in adulthood. How important is that message to? We look at college athletes as like the pinnacle. This is the best of the best, especially in sports like track and field swimming. To show that even in adulthood, you have a full-time job and you train and you can still accomplish those athletic goals without the vehicle that college athletics brings.
Yeah, and I think that the ticket there is like don't let anybody tell you, hey, you don't have this, because they don't know. I mean, maybe you don't know. I don't know. But I think if anybody had to put a limit on one's ability, it would be yourself, right? And I think that's kind of been my like motto is that, some people are like, yeah, maybe she might not go to college or maybe to do track and field or maybe she might not make it quite post-collegiately, but when you've reached your potential, and I just felt like I still don't feel like I've reached my potential, quite frankly, and I think there's beauty in that, there's plenty of women, I'm talking about women in particular, but that have kind of paved this way the whole way into motherhood and who are still achieving a lot of success. And I think that is super, super important, and you don't necessarily have to choose like one or the other, career or that, or like marriage or track, like that doesn't work that way, and I don't regret at all getting married youngish, and I think it just shows you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, that's so cliche, but it is true. Like, again, if you believe in yourself more than anybody else does, and share that with people around you. And I think, if you can kind of just hone in on that and craft a team around you that can help get you to where you want to be, then you're good, and if you don't achieve your goal or you change your mind or whatever, then that's okay too.
Right.
But at least you're going to know that you tried everything and you gave it your best shot. And age is just a number. I mean, if you feel good and you're healthy and you have the potential, I mean, I always say, I mean, I'm strong in my faith, and I believe, you know, God places, you know, gifts in everyone. And if you have a talent or a gift, then use it. You know, it would be a shame to not, you know, even if it's scary. I mean, yeah, it's scary to say I want to win the Olympic gold, but I do, you know, and so why not? Go for it. Let people hold you accountable.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're going for a goal or you just want to get in shape or you just want to get your promotion or whatever you're trying to do in life, doesn't matter. You know, you just got to just keep on.
I love it.
I know you're loving this. Eric
you know me.
So inspirational. He loves being inspired and like reading and bettering himself. So
we all do. Come on, don't just put that on me. We all do. Come on, come on. No.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Well, I was gonna say, have you always had this mindset, or was there a moment where you were like, I don't really know if it's in the cards for me. I don't know if I should keep going.
Yeah, sure. I think all the time, you know, like even leading up to, even after the prelim, you know, I mean, gosh, that was a huge smack to my ego more than anything. And so many people, mentors and my husband, especially my coach, they were like, it's just the prelim. You qualified. It doesn't matter. You got the cue. That's it. That's the sole purpose of the prelim. The prelim is not to PR. It's not to set this massive thing. It's not to win. It doesn't matter. Be in the top 12, or in this case, the top 13 because of a tie. And so what? You know, like leave that for what it is and then move on. And so, but yeah, I mean, going beyond, I mean, whatever, before the trials and way early on in my career, I mean, like I said, I only jumped 12.6. Now I'm going feet and inches one time in high school, once. And that wasn't, I mean, it was an okay height, you know, but nowadays I don't think it would even get you recruited out of high school to go to college. And so, you know, I think from the very beginning, I had to just communicate what I thought I was capable of. And then, you know, ultimately I ended up at UVA. And I remember sitting down with Coach Wilson, who is still the pole vault coach there. And I remember saying, you know, I think he was like talking about scholarship percentages, you know, because I didn't walk on, but I didn't go to UVA with a full ride, right? I only had a partial scholarship initially. And so I remember him thinking, like, are you worthy of that? Do you think this is a fair amount as a freshman for what you've jumped? And I remember thinking, yeah, I think that's fair. I said, but I'm going to jump higher. So watch me, you know, like not in those exact words, but I remember saying, okay, yeah, this is okay for now, but my goal and my plan is to be the best you've had, you know, in one way or another. And you know, he helped me get there. He helped me be, you know, school record holder at UVA. And then again, you know, I guess I don't think many people know this about me, but like I was just talking today with my coach Bob this morning while we were doing training. You know, we were just reminiscing on my whole career, and I remember saying, like, I jumped 461. That was my last ever meet post-collegiate. First year post-collegiate, right before COVID. It was the last possible meet that we had. And it was in this track in Blacksburg at Rector Fieldhouse, and Coach Wilson was coaching me. And I had just come back from the indoor U.S. championships, and I did really bad. And I remember thinking, okay, we just have one more opportunity at Virginia Tech to see what we can squeeze out of the indoor season. And this was all before COVID. I didn't even know what was coming with COVID, right? Yeah. That wasn't even a thing yet. It was the very end of February. And I jumped 461, and that was a huge eye-opener for me because I was jumping like I had jumped 450 maybe one time before, which was a PR at the time. I jumped 445 once in college, and then 446 my last year of college, my 5th year at the NCAA championships to finish 4th. But other than that, I was jumping like 20s and 30s, you know, and sometimes in the teens. Like I was not a consistent 440 girl in college. And so when I jumped 461, that was kind of like the solidifier to, okay, you're going to ride this post-collegiate wave wherever it takes you and see what we can get out of it, because not many girls were jumping 460. Still quite a few globally, but far fewer than, you know, 450 or say 440. You know, a lot of girls jump 440 and 450, but once you hit that 15-foot barrier of 460, then the numbers start kind of going down. Granted, now a lot of girls jump 460 because the pole vault is just going crazy. It's really improved, which is really awesome for the sport. But yeah, I mean, I told Bob this morning, I was like, you know, I really don't think I would have continued. It would have been really hard to justify continuing training, having only jumped 450 one time if I had not jumped 461 before COVID shut down. Wow. I mean, shut down the world, you know? Like, I think my life could have looked a lot different. So it's just strange how things work.
It really is.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting how you mentioned, like, you never really took off with this until, like, latter part of high school. So you peaked at the right time there. And now kind of the same with this ordeal.
And you're
peaking at the right time yet again.
Yeah, and it doesn't work for everyone, but I mean, why not try? If you have the funds and you have the support system and you have a great training facility, then why not?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, my dad is quite funny and he gives a lot of good advice, but, you know, he said one time to me, it's easy to get stressed out, you know, like, it's stressful, you know, you got stuff to do and you're training hard and your body's tired, and, you know, I work a part-time job and I'm also married, and sometimes you just kind of get like swirled out of control and you're like, well, I'm overwhelmed. And my dad was always like, you know, like, you were living the dream of so many people you don't even understand, you know. He's like, you know, what would you rather be saying? Like, oh, I got this promotion. Like, great, you got a promotion in your job, you know, which is awesome. But, you know, so many people would be killing for your spot. Yeah. And it's not to take away from anybody who loves their corporate job, because I hope to have that too one day. Yeah. But, you know, he's like, just realize that it's a rare experience and you got to be grateful for it, even through the chaos and everything. So
the joy is in the journey.
Yeah, and that's right. And you just gotta do it.
We need your dad to come talk to our newsroom.
Yeah. Call him up.
Get
he
that
would
positivity
love it.
going.
I mean, it is hard when you really are doing something you love to keep in mind. Yeah. And often the things we do that we love are not the highest paying, the highest status, the free time to do whatever we want. But it is hard to remember that we're doing what a lot of people absolutely would do anything for. So that is a great piece of advice from your dad.
I mean, he took me on a lot of my college recruiting trips too, and I remember thinking same thing, like, oh, I gotta call these coaches back, and, you know, I don't know where I want to go, and it was all like just influx of information, and it just felt like information overload. Like, I just didn't know. And how do you know, like, what is the best choice? It's so hard to kind of vet all of those questions and try to, you know, figure out what makes sense. And I remember him saying too, like, think about how many girls wish they were being recruited, or wish they had the opportunity, you know. So like, just he really helps put things in perspective sometimes, because it is easy to get caught up in it, especially when the people that you train with are doing the same thing. So you kind of get sucked into this bubble where you're just like, well, everyone's experiencing that. And it's not, you know, like, you talk to the average person or the non-athlete, and they're like, what? You're a college athlete? Like, wow, that's so cool. And now they're saying, okay, you're jumping
Olympian?
now. I can't even say it, but like, you're going to Paris for the Olympics. Like, isn't that crazy? You know? And it's like, it's just strange in the best way possible. I don't know how else to describe it. It's kind of just like surreal. So amazing.
You need one more person to carry like that last bag or something.
Are you volunteering?
See you later. No,
I mean, you are in BC. Technically, you own the Olympics.
No, of course not. No.
You guys are welcome to come. That would be fun.
That would be. Maybe we can put it in the budget.
Just pat the car now. Right?
We'll start driving.
We leave on Wednesday.
It's all good. We can come. Goals. I mean, you want to win gold. You told us. But what are some other goals that you have that aren't attached to winning? I mean, this is your first time.
Sure. So. Yeah. I think, you know, my biggest prayer for going into the Olympics and experiencing all that the Olympics brings is just to be present and just enjoy and take it in, just all of it. I mean, I was a French major in college, which is also like really funny. Yeah. I'm super shy, super shy when it comes to speaking French, but you know, I spent a lot of years studying French at UVA and even in high school. And so I feel like this is all kind of like, my whole life has kind of been pointing to this moment in a way. Truly. I mean, it really has. And, you know, like, not to go too much on a tangent, but like, I at UVA really wanted to be a business major, like really bad. And I just thought, I don't know if I can do it. And I applied to some other things trying to get around it and, you know, to try to get the closest I could to business. And it just didn't work out and I didn't get accepted. But I think things all work out, you know, for how they're supposed to. Yeah. And, so I ended up as a French major, and I ironically enough was hurt that year when I declared with a back injury, and so I ended up studying abroad in Lyon, which is south of Paris, for a month over the summer. And that was something I would never do. I mean, I am not like an actor. I don't sound French when I speak French. I mean, like, I speak it pretty well, but I'm just super shy, and I'll be the first to admit that. And so I was like, what am I doing in a foreign country, like speaking French? Like, I don't know anybody. I had like one friend who wasn't an athlete who was also in my French class, and I just stuck with her the whole time because she was really good at French and not shy, and just like, I don't know, she just pulled me out of my comfort zone. But I just remember thinking, like, this is gonna pay off one day. I know it's gonna pay off. I just kept telling myself that, even if I didn't know exactly how it was going to pay off, because I was like, I just studied 4 years of French, and I'm like, what am I going to do?
Gotta use it.
Everyone's like, do you want to be a French teacher? I'm like, no, I don't want to be a French teacher at all. But it has served me well. It pulled me out of my comfort zone. It's given me connections in Paris and in France, so I know enough to get around. I'm just not as confident, but I know, like, once I get there, I will be more. My family's, I know they'll be depending on me to help them get around.
Yeah, no pressure again,
right? But it will be
boy.
really good. I mean, I had the opportunity to. This is another tangent, but fun, to go to France. I never competed. I never pole vaulted in France until this indoor season. Plan B. It's just what it was. I really thought I was going to make the world championship team indoor, and I didn't. And so plan B was to go to France and compete in 2 meets there, which was great. I jumped 483, which was a PR for me, and then followed up 2 days later and jumped 480 again. So that was just like awesome to happen in France. And the French crowd is just awesome, like unlike anything I've ever experienced. They're awesome. They love you. They love the pole vault. They love track and field. It was just so cool. But on the way there, I was riding on the train with a guy who was just random. I didn't know him, and he was like dad age, and coming home from work, and he's like, he definitely knew I was American, but he's like speaking to me in French. And I'm like, okay, like, je parle un peu français, I speak a little French, but can you talk to me slowly? And the whole time I was like, let's practice your English. And he's like, no, let's practice your French. And so I'm like sitting on this train ride for an hour talking to this guy in French, which was really awesome. But I would never have done that. I would have never initiated that because I'm just shy by nature. So I think all that to say, my goal, unattached from winning, is just to really enjoy like everything Paris has to offer, and just be present, you know, like enjoy the food, enjoy my family. So rare to have not only my family, but also my husband's family is going to be there too. And a lot of friends, like a lot of girls from the track team, are going to be there. They all got an Airbnb. They're going to pal in. So it'll be just really fun.
It's just so fun.
It feels really good to be supported, on and off the track, performance aside. So I'm just excited to just be able, it's almost like a gift. I feel like, in a way, I'm not trying to praise myself in any way, but just, I feel like this is the best gift I could give my family, because they've sacrificed so much for me. And so for them to get to experience this and have somebody to like root for personally in the Olympics, I think is just amazing. Like a huge, I think they'll really enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's
Eric
cool.
really wants to go now.
You don't need to see me, right?
No, I don't know. You go on.
Well, I do. I am going to be gone, but that's going to be paternity leave. So
Eric's having a baby.
Whole other thing. So, but
so
I might not be able to go only because of that. But it's okay. It's okay.
Hey, that's almost better, I think.
Yeah. Can't get around it.
I just have one more fun question, unless you have any more.
No.
I just am always so curious with runners. I ran track. I ran hurdles. I was pretty bad at it. But what's your pre-race meal?
Oh, gosh. My husband is a really good cook, so we stay at a lot of Airbnbs too when we're on the road, if we can. And so normally we'll have like steak or potatoes, just something basic.
Awesome.
I know you're supposed to eat carbs too. I mean, we'll have like pasta or potatoes, but I really like meat and veggies. It's like my go-to.
Can't miss.
Yeah, and it's filling, makes me feel good. I mean, he's the grill master, as we say. So.
It is funny.
Can't go wrong.
Society has been telling us meat is bad, and I'm
don't listen.
I don't feel worse ever when I have a steak. I always feel better. I'm full. I'm happy.
Protein.
I feel stronger.
Protein is good for you. Everything is good for you, I think. In moderation, right? And if you have good quality, then I mean, I don't know. I don't restrict what I eat. I eat good quality. I eat around the rainbow,
Yeah.
and I enjoy my food. I think, a happy Bridget is a good performing Bridget,
There you
and
go.
a hungry Bridget is not happy. And my coach and my husband know that firsthand. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Like there is a small window where it's like she's too hungry, like she needs food now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we always joke at that. But
All right, steak and veggies,
yeah.
the meal
Yeah.
of Olympians.
Yep.
Well, Bridget, we're gonna wrap it up. But
Appreciate
you've been
it.
amazing. Thank you so
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This has been great. This has been great.
Yeah,
I love
we're
it.
just so excited for you. And
Thanks.
like you said, your family has someone to root for. Hopefully, all of Southwest Virginia now has someone to root for because it is really cool turning on the TV and being like, that person is from our community. So that's important. And you work in our community.
Sure.
You do good things up here. So it's gonna be fun. I'm
Thank you.
tearing up.
No.
It gets
No,
me
we'll be ready for it.
excited.
We'll be watching.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank
be
you
watching.
so much. I so appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
been so fun.
Of course.
Yeah.
What a great inspiration that was. And I like inspirational type stuff.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned when we were sitting there, you're like, Eric just loves this. I'm like, first of all, don't put me out like that.
Well,
but no.
You love anything inspirational. Like if it feels like it's going to enlighten you and encourage you, you're like,
positivity. Yes, that's
Yeah,
me. I
love it.
I draw to that. But no, great athlete, great mind. Just a great person overall.
oh, so nice. No, she was awesome.
Yeah,
Like
super
that
sweet.
is exactly who you want to go and like represent our country in the Olympics. Like she is a perfect example
Yes.
of someone who we want out there and. She's gonna do great, but I mean I've been seeing. So she flew out Wednesday,
Right.
but she said she doesn't compete till August 3rd.
Yeah, I think track and field runs like August 2nd through the 11th, or 2nd through 10th.
But which is
but
good.
that's
She's got some time to like chill.
Yeah. And the best part, she's there for opening ceremonies. as she
Yeah.
mentioned. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I'm on Olympic TikTok now because there's like athletes who
Of
are
course,
out there.
of course.
And it literally looks like summer camp. Like they're sleeping in twin beds, Eric. At
I
least the
saw
people that
that.
I'm seeing.
Yeah, I saw
They're sleeping
that.
in twin beds. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, imagine your jitters like going to summer camp, like sleepaway camp. Now times it by 1,000,000 because there's TV cameras everywhere and it's not Love Island. You're going to be in the Olympics and perform.
Not Love Island. Wow. Well, that's quite the comp. But yeah, okay.
Well, that's what one of the TikTokers, I'm going to butcher her name. She does rugby.
Okay. Yeah.
Ilona, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce her name. But she keeps calling it the Olympic Villa. Instead of because Love Island and Love in the Villa.
Of course.
Yeah. So it really
Naturally.
does. Yeah. It looks just like summer camp. Looks
Yeah.
so fun.
It's also cool to see or to hear how she was like, I have all this experience with like French, like the language,
Yeah.
and how now she can like actually put it to use. I was like, that's pretty awesome.
Well, I was getting
That's
like
pretty
goosebumps
cool.
when she was saying that because I was like, it really is funny how everything works out. And like,
Yeah.
who would have ever thought, like, when she picked to study French,
Mm-hmm.
that because she was talking about how she like never qualified for the Olympics,
Right.
and the one she does qualify for is the one that's in freaking France.
In France, yeah. And she mentioned being over there for like World Games. She thought she'd make that team or whatever. But like this actually happened now. And I'm like, man. And I mentioned it to her, like she truly peaked at the right time in every part of her life. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're saying if the trend goes that way, I should be able to use my fluent Spanish at some point in life.
Fluent?
Oh, you want a question? Like, what? Problema?
Oh,
Problema con me?
I didn't know you were fluent. How many years of Spanish did you take?
Ocho.
8?
Yeah.
Wait, you studied Spanish in
So
college?
Listen, all through middle school,
Okay.
all through high school,
Okay.
and then I had like 2-3 semesters of it in college. I should have placed better than I did, taking the test to try and test out of it, but I didn't. But I ended up taking it.
Well, let's speak Spanish. I took Spanish for like 5 years.
Oh, see,
See?
bueno, muy bueno. Then it becomes a game of all right, what can I respond with? It
Yeah.
immediately goes to your head. So
¿Qué pasa?
nada.
right. Well, before we offend our Spanish teachers who invested years and years and years into us.
Miss Martin was the greatest. That's all I got to say. But yeah.
Well, anyways, yeah, you can definitely use your Spanish someday, Eric, at the El Rodeo on Electric Road.
Oh, no. Well, I do roll my R's when I order my food. Does that count? Like, no?
Oh, my God. So you're like, can I get arroz con pollo?
See, I do no. But I don't do that to offend. I do that to make sure I'm being authentic as the dish that I'm about to receive. No, don't cancel me. Don't cancel me.
No.
I feel like I'm gonna get
no
canceled.
one's gonna cancel you, Eric. There's like 5 people who listen to this podcast, and I know your IP addresses. So if you try to cancel Eric,
oh wow.
I'm gonna find you.
But no, I do it out of respect. A lot of people do it because they don't like the language or they're trying to truly pick on people. But no, it's arroz con pollo.
I mean, you do sound like pretty authentic when you say it.
See?
Okay. See? All right. And I'm sure they love it.
Sometimes.
Okay. Well,
depends on who the waiter or waitress is.
Hop off that topic because I haven't had Mexican food in probably the longest I've gone without it, 3 weeks, and I'm suffering. So
been a solid month and a half for me. Yeah.
What?
Oh, I know, right?
Month and a half?
Well, listen, pregnant wife, it doesn't. Yeah.
It doesn't sit well.
No. So
I'm sure
like,
the smell probably she can't do.
I'm like, all right, we can lay off of that. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm sure my stomach is happy about that too. So
yeah. Well, I will say, I hope Bridget and all the Olympians have a fun time because French food is like my favorite food ever.
I remember we were talking about that in the parking lot as we were leaving, and yeah, she mentioned the same thing.
Yeah, I love French food.
Oh, great. So she's gonna have a great experience and obviously great eating. I didn't really think about it, and we didn't really ask her, I guess. Well, we did kind of ask her what's her go-to meal. She's kind of just like meat and potatoes type person, but I guess you can kind of eat and do what you want as a pole vaulter.
Well, yeah, because she's not, I mean, she kind of said it when I had her run a lap to get a video.
Right.
She was like, I'm not really a runner.
Yeah, she runs fast, but not long.
Yeah. And being strong is like half the battle.
Yeah.
Like upper body strength. So yeah, you got to eat the protein, put the muscle on, and
it just boggles my mind the science behind all of that. And
I know.
Like I was like, you got to keep all that in mind logistically, and then think about math. Like, oh my goodness, all in the span of 8 seconds, as she mentioned. Like, oh man. That's what makes it so incredible, though. So
I know. I really hope she does well. I'm really excited. It just makes it so much better when you have someone local to watch and follow.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes it more fun. So yeah, Bridget Williams, remember that name. Pole vaulting for Team USA.
Yeah.
During the track and field.
As we also saw, she holds the Rector Fieldhouse record.
Oh yeah, the indoor.
Yeah, the indoor record at Virginia Tech. So, although being a UVA grad, don't hold it against her though.
No, we didn't. She was so nice. She's obviously spent enough time in Blacksburg, so
yeah. I think
she's an angel.
Y'all have changed her in a sense. Yeah,
just a little bit.
No, great stuff. Great conversation.
Our next episode is going to be on the what's it called? What's the video game called? Like, what's the official name? NCAA 25?
I think it's College Football 25.
College Football 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of players during media day about their rankings and how they felt the game, like, portrayed them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get an expert on to, like, really break down, like, the process of the game and how to play and things like that.
I was curious to hear their responses. Like, some were cool with the ratings, some were not. Some have played the game a lot, some haven't played it at all yet. So, and then some weren't worried about the ratings, just worried about how they look. Like, that's important.
Yeah.
Right?
Who said that? Oh, was it Dorian Strong who's like, I don't even have a PS5 yet?
Yeah. He's like, I was actually going to get one this weekend or next weekend. I'm like, yeah.
Somebody get this man a PS5.
Why you had to
please
pick mine up too?
Yeah.
I mean, when they had it set up for us there for media day, I didn't even know. I was like, what system is this? Like, I'm so far removed from
it looks like
games.
an alien spaceship.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I had a PS3 for a hot second. And
well, I had seen the game really early because I went and visited my bestie Katie Buck and her husband, and her husband like paid the extra $30 to like get it like Monday night at midnight.
Oh yeah.
But so he was playing as JMU because his wife is a JMU alum.
Okay.
And he played a full game because I remember me and Katie were sitting there like waiting to do something. He racked the score up. It was like 115-2 or whoever he was playing.
Wow.
And then he's like, okay, I won. I'm done. exit out. He's like, great first game. And then it said error. It was like an error message.
No.
And it was like, file cannot be found. And then it rebooted, and then it brought it back up, and all of his progress was gone.
Wow.
And he had played for quite a bit of time.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was like, I had already done recruiting, whatever you do on that video game.
Yeah. So. Some of the people I've talked to, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm on like year 3 of whatever mode, and I'm a coach now, and this guy turned me down. I'm like, whoa. That sounds way too realistic. All right.
What's funny? Speaking of TikTok, I've been seeing TikToks of like, I guess within the game, it's like if you play as a player, you're being like tempted by like outside noise, and one of them was like a text from a girl, or maybe it was a coach.
Yeah.
Like they were texting a coach who was like, "Hey, you want to come out tonight?" And they're like, "No, I got a gate." And the girl on the TikTok was like, "Ladies, watch out! Now what's happening? Now we gotta watch their video games to make sure they ain't out here cheating."
Oh gosh, well you should have been on that anyway. But anyways, I'm gonna keep that there. Yeah,
so that's our next episode. It will be enlightening for me because I'm not a video game player, but I did have fun playing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Gave it a try. I threw an interception, but it's okay.
It's okay. You will.
I didn't even have to say that. You were
playing as UVA.
No, but okay, let's not go there. I was playing as Tech, but I threw an interception to UVA.
Oh,
that's even worse, actually. I shouldn't even said that. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Oops.
Okay, well, let's hang this thing up before we get into more trouble. By the way, if you try to cancel one of us, I have your IP address. So,
I don't know how threatening that is, or if that really refrains people from.
I wouldn't even know what to do with an IP address.
So what you just said is null and void. It's great. Yeah. Just don't cancel me. It's all love and respect.
Always.
I love Spanish and the language.
We don't need to double down on it.
No. Obviously, that's why I did it so long. So
yes, you do. You invested nearly a decade in it.
Yeah. Don't clown me for that.
Right on.
Ouch.
Okay. That's all we got for Foul Check this week. Follow us on
Foul Check Pod
on
X/Twitter.
I don't use that Twitter. Follow us on at WSLS Scores, at E10 Sports, at Brooke Leonard.
Yeah.
And you can email us at foulcheckpod at WSLS.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call us at 540.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. Just check out E10 Sports and at Brooke Leonard.
Yeah.
Get all your latest.
And send us your questions.
We got big things happening.
Per.
Stay tuned.